Hi everyone, I'm Rene Oswald with the Transitioning to Living Cuisine program, and you can read more about my book on my website at www.reneoswald.com. It's a 350-page book full of raw food, living food recipes, and all kinds of tips on how to live the lifestyle. And today I'm going to be making a fruity Irish cream mint pie. And that is a new recipe that I just came up with last week, but there are many more recipes like that in the book. I'm making this pie with buckwheat groats, almonds, and sunflower seeds in my crust. Many typical raw food recipes use just nuts in the crust, and they're usually a lot higher fat. I like to go with the buckwheat groats because it's only 10% fat. So then you can get away with using more, having a thicker crust, but not being full of fat, which is one of the benefits of a lot of my recipes, is I try to decrease the fat content without decreasing the flavor. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to put all this in the Vitamix, sprouted and dehydrated. Your buckwheat groats are sprouted, soaked, sprouted, and dehydrated. I hope you can see all those cute little sprouts on there. And that really increases the nutrient content of the food. It also releases that enzyme inhibitor to make these nuts and seeds easy to digest. Then you add a 1/4 cup of carob powder, clean. These are raisins that I've soaked. This is a 1/2 cup of raisins. And this is a teaspoon of vanilla powder. And I have a video on the website that teaches you how to make vanilla. You put this in your Vitamix, put your lid on. You may need to use the tamper, we'll see. And you start on low, and on this recipe, you don't want to puree this, you want it to still be crumbly, so you just pulse leave it on low and just pulse it slowly. And I'll show you how to do that. You just turn it on and off, and then take your tamper, push it down, just turn it on a couple times. Turn it up a little, about halfway, and just off and on, and that kind of pulses it. And push down any of the large pieces. Turn it up to about halfway. And that's it. It's getting nice and it's getting thick, and you can hear the motor having to work harder. And when that happens, you know you want to quit. Because if you keep going, you'll have butter. It'll be more like a butter, and you want it to be crumbly for your pie crust. So you pour that out into your pie pan, about a 9-inch pie pan. Just pat that down in the bottom of your pie pan. You can put it up on the sides if you want. Make it faster, just pat it on the bottom. And it's a real nice thick, you can see how thick that is, nice thick pie crust. Now to make your filling, you mix all your ingredients in your blender container. Start off with a 1/2 cup of cashews, and these are a white nut. Cashews, macadamia nuts, and pine nuts don't need to be soaked because they're white nuts and they don't have the enzyme inhibitor. So you can just use those just plain like this. You don't have to soak them. If you're lucky enough to live in Florida and you can walk outside and get some beautiful coconuts, that's what this is. This is just the coconut meat from a coconut. If you don't live in Florida, or if you have trouble finding coconuts, you can find the Thai coconuts in a lot of the grocery stores now, and I have a video on how to open a Thai coconut on the website. You can check that out. If you don't have this coconut, you can purchase the Tropical Traditions Coconut Cream Concentrate, which is great. You can use about a 1/4 cup of this instead of the meat from the Thai coconut or the Florida coconut. And you can find this at their website. I have a link to that on my site also. I'm going to put the coconut in there. And then 4 dates that you've pitted and then soaked for about 15 minutes. If they're real moist, you don't even need to soak them. And then about 1/2 cup of raw carob powder. And the chia gel, which I have a video on how to make your chia gel on the website, and that helps to thicken the pie filling. And you don't have to use peppermint. If you don't want the peppermint flavor in this pie, you can just leave it out. Or if you like the peppermint, use about a 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint flavor, or you can use fresh peppermint leaves if you have a peppermint plant. Put about 20 peppermint leaves in your filling, just to taste. Mix it up, see how it tastes, add more if you want. And that's everything. Now I saved the macadamia nuts for last because sometimes they'll float on the bottom of your filling. So I always put those in last as the Vitamix is going. And I just use a few, just 6 of these, and it helps to give it a really creamy, the bananas. And when you're choosing your bananas, make sure that they have some speckle, some brown speckle, so they're ripe. And I talk about that on page 6 of the book on how to choose your produce. But these are nice. These, even though they look pretty green, they're real speckled. Sometimes so I'm going to put 4 bananas in there. And that's everything. Here we go. I'm going to put those macadamia nuts in. Start on low and turn it up to high with your tamper this time. There we go. That's the filling. Just pour that on top. And now, this pie is really good. If you freeze it for 2 hours before you serve it, it helps it set up. And what's wonderful, another wonderful thing about pies is that you can freeze them. These cream pies, cut them before you freeze them into about 16 to 32 pieces. 32 would be best. And then you can just take that out of the freezer as a special treat once in a while without overindulging, because these are higher fat recipes. Isn't that beautiful? Just put that in the freezer. In 2 hours, it's ready to eat. But if you freeze it, you can just take small portions out, and then you can, and hope you enjoy this recipe. Thanks.